Hello, this is Mark from My Keys to Music. Thanks for joining me on this video. Today we're talking about the Nord Electro 6 and the use of pitch bend. Now if you haven't already done so, check out a previous video I did on this where we explain using an external keyboard and the external keyboard's pitch bend. Using both in combination, we can control the sounds of the Nord Electro 6 without a problem, provided we have the setting set to external to low. So anything playing in the low zone will be activated by that external keyboard, and the pitch bend actually works. Now there's some limitations built into the Electro 6 regarding pitch bend. You're limited to 2 semitones up or down, and there's no choice in that. That's what you get. And there's no modulation wheel concept or connection there. It's just the pitch bend and of course the keyboard itself triggering the keys. So this is all well and good, and this video came out back in 2019, and a lot of people we're excited about the possibility, and some people have set it up in such a way. But here we are in 2022, and we've got a new and improved way of doing this. We actually have, let me just show you. Here I have the Nord Electro 6, and I've got this third-party pitch bend. It's called the Touche. You've probably heard about it. It's been around for a while. It's a really nice unit. The idea behind this Touche is that you can program it ahead of time on your computer, and it can establish all kinds of different connections and different controls. In other words, you can determine what happens when you move up or down or left or right or slide this way, left and right, and many other things. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube for you to figure out what this does and whether you want to use it as part of your setup. I'm using it as a means to an end. I'm just using it as a way to demonstrate the pitch bend here on the Nord Electro 6. So let's just watch it in action. Here I am playing the Nord Electro 6. At the same time, I'm going to do the pitch bend. I can change my synth sound and to something a little bit more lead-like. Now, prior to this discovery, and it was discovered by people on the Nord user forum, as well as an individual who follows the channel, a subscriber, and together we he did his thing, I did my thing, and together we came together with a solution. And this is pretty awesome. So let me show you the magic. The magic is all in this box. It's called the MIDI Hub. And this is a device that's a miracle, really. It's been described as not just the Swiss Army knife for MIDI, but the entire Swiss Army. So I like that. I really like that description of it. This is made in Lithuania, actually. And here in the US, SoCal is where I'm located. This came to me in 2 days via 2-day UPS global shipping. So they do ship all over the world. So normally we don't buy things from Lithuania, but that was the only slight thing that I was wondering about. But the quality on this thing is absolutely superb. The configuration of it within the software, on the computer to configure it is superb, and the flexibility in what you can do with it is superb. So let me explain how we're using it here with the Electro 6 so that you can decide if this is something you even want to pursue or not. So the way it works in a nutshell, and I can't go through all the details because it would be really a longer video or maybe even an entire course. But the idea is you come out on MIDI out from the Nord Electro to MIDI in on the hub. At the same time, the pitch stick in this case is also going to in on the hub. So the Electro and the pitch stick go to in. The hub takes all that information and takes it from, let's say, channel 1 and moves it to a different channel. In this case, I have the external keyboard to low set to look and receive on 16. So it's taking that information on channel 1 and moving it to channel 16 with a single out from the same box back in to the Nord Electro. So when I play a key, It's going out on global channel 1 into the box and being merged with the pitch stick information, and then coming back in on 16, which is the only way the Nord Electro 6 can understand it. Now, it doesn't have to be on channel 16, but it has to be on its external channel, and I believe this has to be a different channel than global. And that's the only way you can simultaneously play the Electro. See, I could put it back on 16. While hearing it. Now, this prevents you, or this removes the requirement of having a whole nother keyboard to control your Nord Electro 6 sounds just to get the pitch stick. But at the end of the day, look what I've got here. It's very much like a Frankenstein situation. I've got this fairly large pitch stick controller, which doesn't really fit on the keyboard. I'd have to put that, if I was actually going to use this on a gig, I'd have to find a place to put that. And then we've got this MIDI hub, which is not necessarily MIDI 101. It's more like MIDI 103. It's, kind of complicated to set it up. And if you don't know the settings, you're going to need someone to help potentially if you're techno challenged. And of course, let me just show you one last, to bring this over the top. You might have noticed already that I have this wireless MIDI device connected here. So what's happening here is that also coming in on the hub is Bluetooth. And then I take out the trusty phone, and I happen to get an app here called Smart Pitch Bend Controller Pro, in conjunction with MIDI Wrench, which is a way to take that Bluetooth and make it visible by a program like Smart Pitch Bend Controller Pro. And then it presents itself as a pitch stick. Let me just move the hub out of the way for a second. And flip the phone up. So now I've got a wireless pitch bend device, which is kind of cool. But, at the end of the day, let's say I were to use this on a gig, and I get a phone call. What happens then? Does that mean the phone, I have to reset it? Maybe I could get a dedicated iOS device or some other Bluetooth device. But there's not a lot of apps that do dedicated pitch sticks, and this one in particular isn't necessarily a world-class app. It does one thing, and that's pretty much what it does. It also does a mod wheel here, but unfortunately the Electro 6 doesn't really receive any kind of mod signal. So what you're seeing here is pretty much a theoretical thing that it can be done, but should you do it? It's a lot easier to get an actual pitch stick from Nord by way of a Nord Stage 3 or a Nord Wave 2. I know that's frustrating to hear because you have the Electro and you're wondering where your pitch stick is. Where is my pitch stick? They just didn't include it on the Electro. And perhaps they didn't do that because it doesn't have a full-fledged synth engine. But yet they're giving us some nice synth sounds. And some of those really cry out for a pitch stick. So this is a solution that gets you there. But at the end of the day, between the setup, the configuration, the extra components, it is a little bit of monkey business. So I'll leave you to decide whether you think it's monkey business or not. But I'm just here to bring the theoretical concepts and capabilities to the forefront so you can enjoy them in the same way that I enjoyed setting them up. On a gig, would I ever use this situation? No, I wouldn't, because I just use the Stage 3 or the Wave 2 and do my pitch stick that way. But if I only had an Electro, I probably would sacrifice the pitch stick. If I was in a cover band that really required a song with the pitch stick, would I do something like this? I probably would. I probably would use this, though, because this is just a more reliable, and it sounds better, too. It's a lot easier to control this than it is this device on the phone. And part of that is because the play between the top and the bottom is so far. You have a huge amount of hand movement in order to get it quickly, which is typically what you need. Or a lot of times you need it quickly like that. So I think that concludes this particular video. I hope that you are well. We are doing a lot of things over here. Lots of experiments, lots of Frankensteins being created. And that's a good thing, because that keeps me out of trouble. I hope that you have a good one, and we'll talk to you on the next one.